This episode is brought to you by Portland Distro. If you like underground music, movies, and more, go to portlanddistro.com for licensed merch, vinyl, CDs, and more. Plug in the discount code 10OFF, TENOFF, for a 10% discount at portlanddistro.com. Hey guys, apologies for last week's lack of an episode. Ran into some logistical and scheduling issues, summertime availability, last minute, not so much cancellations, but schedule changes. So put me in a situation where I was a bit behind. So we're back on track this week. My old friend J Bennett is on the show. This year has been an excellent year for music, and not so much for movies, as you guys who listen to Necromaniacs will surmise, based on some of the conversations that Mike and Jeff and I have had regarding this year's horror movie selection. But music, tons of great records have come out this year. So ahead of the end of year best of lists, I wanted to give a little bit of a look ahead, an acknowledgement of some of the best mid-year records that have come out. So I invited Jay to come on, since Jay is an incredibly knowledgeable guy, music journalist and musician himself, to talk about some of the records that came out this year and whether or not they would meet our criteria for best of 2023. Now, after you listen to this episode, I urge you to check out the rest of the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse shows. Of course, that's Horror Wolf 666 with Brandon Legion, Into the Necrosphere with Jackie Smith, Necromaniacs with myself, Mike Scandato, Jeff Kashid, Break the Apocalypse with Mike Scandato's brother John Draper, and of course, Soul Knox with Carl Hikara. If you want to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. We have a variety of different levels. For as little as $1, you can become a patron of the show, get bonus content. For $5, you can get early access plus all of the bonus content. And for $25, you can become a sponsor. Check out all the details over at patreon.com. Jay, it's been a while since we spoke. It's good to have you back on the show. How's things going?
Thanks, man. It's good to be back. Things are good. I'm sort of persevering through the same heat wave that everyone is probably dealing with. I think everywhere is a heat wave now. There's no one has escaped its grasp.
What do you make of all this, man?
Well, I hope that the people who are confused or let's say in denial about what might be happening, maybe they're learning a valuable lesson. A girl can dream.
It makes me think about how fleeting human existence on this planet actually is,
Yeah. Oh, totally, man. I think, I've been thinking about that too. And I'm wondering, I don't know what the betting window is on this, but I'm wondering, are we going to get, we're just going to get burned off the planet, or is it going to be like Terminator and the AI is going to get us first,
I think there might be one of two doomsday scenarios, actually. It's not, unfortunately, most dystopian, projectionists would attribute the end of civilization to some kind of war. But I see one of two things happening. Number one, you mentioned the AI, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that is a looming possibility, you know.
Yep.
The other one is more like a scenario depicted in The Road, where there's
Mm.
some. I always read that as to be some kind of just like environmental catastrophe that caused that scenario in
Yeah.
the Road by the late great Cormac McCarthy, and
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like this extended miserable sort of recession of human existence. I feel like that's more what's in store for us.
Yeah. I mean, uh, you know, none of it sounds very good, but yeah, I had this conversation with someone the other day. Like, the future's not going to be like Star Trek or even like Star Wars. It's going to be like the Terminator, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. The future's not sick. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So how's everything going with with your career as a rock and roll journalist? Things going well? I see your name pop up a lot.
That's good, man. That's good. That means I'm working, I guess. Yeah, I have been working. It's good. It's been very steady, which I appreciate. Um, it seems like I might be getting a little bit of I mean, not like a full on break, but at least like uh, uh, well, to make a long story short, I'm kind of waiting for. There's like a big project that I've signed up for, and it's kind of like a critical piece missing from this project that I'm not responsible for.
Okay.
So until the wheels turn to put that piece in place, I can't really do much. I mean, I've done everything I can. Let me put it that way. So I'm just kind of in this weird holding pattern where I don't know where that's going to happen or when it's going to happen. Um, the deadline has like pretty much come and gone at this point. Um, and so I'm just waiting to find out. And so I could end up, depending what happens. I mean, they could call me tomorrow and be like, "Okay, it's on" or whatever. But it's just as likely that I won't have too much to do tomorrow, which is kind of cool. I never have days like that, so
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I imagine it's like a never-ending grind, man, trying to do this kind of work.
Oh, totally, man, totally. Like the idea of having like potentially having a Tuesday off, it's like insane to me. I can't even imagine that. You know.
Do you try to keep more or less like at least maybe a 5 day a week schedule, or are you just working all the time?
I try to maintain that whenever possible. It doesn't always work out that way, but I try to keep it to that just for, mental health and sanity and all that stuff. But, that's, yeah, there's plenty of times where that's just kind of out of my control, you know? Um, but, the other side of that is, I live here in Los Angeles and like half the city is like kind of out of work right now. So, uh, it's with all the strikes and
Yeah.
everything. So I'm happy to. It's like I don't really know how productive it is for me to go to complain like, oh fuck man, I had to work on the weekend or whatever. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, that's a crazy scenario, man. It's with the writers' strike, film writers' strike, and just the sort of disparity in compensation by these like by larger studios, by the people that actually make the content.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. I mean, I've seen some like mind blowing statistics about like, if these CEOs could cut their salaries by just this much, which is like a fraction of their salaries, like all these people could get raises and healthcare and all this shit. And it's like, it's not, they won't do it, you know? And it's not, and obviously that's not just, Hollywood studios, there's plenty of other, corporate entities that have that kind of business model, which, um, I don't know, it just seems fucking greedy to me, but what do I know?
Yeah, yeah, it's across the board. I would think. I mean, there are definitely, if someone maybe cut their expense report down, a couple of percent, maybe we could pay some families, health care, something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like it's like a rounding error or something. I was talking to someone, years ago, and they said, if if we uh, if we made like healthcare, if it was tied to what the members of Congress get, like meaning like whatever the members of Congress get for healthcare, that's what everyone in the country gets. Like if it was kind of tethered in some way, dude, we'd have like free liposuction and tit jobs for everybody. Never mind, like, you know what I mean? like, uh, like it'd be crazy, but, you know, you can't figure it out.
Yeah. Well, 2023 has been a pretty good year for music so far, I think. And
Yeah, man, it's
yeah.
been good.
And I get asked to do these year-end best of things, and usually the last couple of years, I've been teamed up with Into the Necrosphere, which is a metal podcast. One of our good tight friends of the show. We have a little cadre of podcasting affiliates here, and that's one of them. And we do that episode after the first of the subsequent year so that we capture everything from the previous year. So,
Right.
But I figured there's been so many great records that come out that maybe we give a little bit of a look ahead, as to the mid-year and some of the stuff that may or may not appear on our lists. Because I know that you also are somebody who has to come up with a list every year of like, best records or favorite records or go-tos and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I do, and you make a great point about doing it. After the first is such a great way to take everything into account, because there's a lot of places, and it's not their fault. It's just the way things are done because of like if there's a print deadline or something. I'm often asked to like submit a list in like October.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's true that not a ton of stuff is coming out, like say from like Thanksgiving to the end of the year. That's true, but you are missing like 6 weeks of stuff where something could happen, and so it is cool to kind of take the whole year into account.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some incredible records that came out like at the end of December, like a couple of years ago. I remember, there's a bunch of stuff that came out, like the Funeral Mist. The last Funeral Mist came out like around Christmas time or something like that, or like at the very end of the year. It just showed up, and it slipped right past like all these lists and everything.
Yeah, no. I mean, that shit happens all the time, but in a way, I kind of dig that in a way, because I think what you're kind of saying when you do something like that is that you don't give a shit about these lists anyways, which I kind of like. You know what I mean? Because
totally.
So I think labels try to like, I mean, they kind of know about the thing I'm talking about, where like if your shit doesn't come out by October, it's kind of not going to make the cut or whatever.
Right.
And they know that, so they kind of like organize their release schedule to fit that. So when someone like Funeral Mist puts their shit out in December, it's like fuck you. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But just for someone like me who's more of a fan than anything else, I mean that's like kind of the cool thing about podcasting, is that there's no schedule, no publication schedule. It's a pretty Wild West format, and as a fan, primarily, we can put out a list whenever we want. It's got nothing to do with advertising per se. In some cases, it does, but in my case, I only have like one sponsor and like some subscribers on Patreon, so it's all very DIY. So same thing with Into the Necrosphere. He's pretty much running his own show, so we can put out a best of any time of year.
Yeah, I think it's great, man. I fully support it.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of a list here of things that have a high likelihood of showing up on my 2023 list. So I'm just interested to see what you got coming down the line for us.
Yeah. What should I rattle off, like one or a few, or what?
Let's go like one and one. Like I informal, no particular order. The one I do have one, which is 100% going to be in my top. Might even be my number one, actually.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Do you want to save that for the end or?
I'll save that one for the end. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? Well, there's one that I'm pretty sure is going to be on both our lists.
Okay.
And I don't want to take the chance of, so maybe I'll hold on to it because I don't want to take the chance of it being maybe your number one. And then I blow up the spot before you're ready to say what it is, you know?
Sure.
So
Okay.
I'll sit on that one. Um, but okay, so there's a record that just came out. And I wanted to make sure to mention this one because I don't know how many people in this country know about this band. They're called The Night Eternal, and their new record is called Fatale, like fatal with an E on the end. Um, they're from Germany, I believe. Um, and so they're one of these bands that, like, you know, some of these labels, like the bigger metal labels, Century Media, Nuclear Blast, I believe The Night Eternal is on Century Media. They have, like, I don't know if you've noticed this, but they have these records that will come out in Europe but don't come out here at all. Uh, it's really strange, and I don't know how they make those kinds of decisions. But this is one of those bands. Like, this record came out in Europe, and yeah, you could go on and listen to it on, your streaming thing of choice or whatever. Like, the record's not being released. Like, there's no LP or CD or there's no physical format that you can without like ordering it from overseas, which is so weird to me. Like, because obviously those labels put out tons of bands from Europe that come out here and there. So I don't get it. But anyway, The Night Eternal, they kind of sound like they have a little bit of, do you remember that band In Solitude?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of have that vibe musically, but imagine if like In Solitude had like a sort of like more Glenn Danzig style singer. Um, that's how I would describe them. That's what it feels like to me. Um, and I really dig them. I got into them I, I got into them like a couple of years ago, and their new one just came out, and they're great. And I just make a point to try to mention them because I just have the sense that, like, I don't see anyone in this country like talking about them. So there you go. The Night Eternal.
Well, I have to tell you that I actually like this band quite a bit.
Good.
Yeah.
That makes me happy.
Like about a month ago, maybe my good friend Carl Haikara, who does the Soul Knox podcast, he sent me a link to this record, and I've been listening to it like ever since. Like he's another good source of really good music, my buddy Carl, and
Yeah.
I get stuff from him all the time, and this definitely hit with me as well.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one.
That's off to a good start. This record probably in a different year would have rated higher, even though there's no order to this. This is a rough assemblage, and but the power of the releases that came out this year kind of put this further down, at least in my preliminary hierarchy here. And of course, this is The Beggar, the new record by Swans, and
Oh yes.
yeah, I mean, I know you like them. You're familiar with them. Have you heard this record?
I'm very familiar with the Swans. I've seen them many times. I have not, for whatever reason, listened to the new record yet. But I'm going to amend that after we speak.
Man, it's like the last few records they put out. Though I like them. I own vinyl copies of them and everything, and definitely I've seen them perform many times over the years. This new one has like an emotional urgency that kind of goes back to like that 90s period in some ways.
Yeah.
I'm really into it, man. It's great.
Yeah, I got to check it out. I don't know. I know it's out. I knew it was coming out, and I knew it's out, and I don't know why I haven't listened to it yet. It's just it somehow slipped through the cracks. I don't know why.
I had to make a really hard choice here this fall because they're playing the same night as Cannibal Corpse and Mayhem in Brooklyn. So I had to make a decision on which show I was going to go to.
Yeah. What did you end up deciding?
Well, my my lady friend Tina has never seen Cannibal Corpse, so we decided to go to that show.
Yeah, yeah, and somehow it's funny, like, uh, it's crazy to think that somehow the Cannibal Corpse will be less like punishing somehow than the Swans show, but it probably will be.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, funny. So one of the bands on my list now, this record, I don't think it's out yet. I think it's out coming out in September. Um, but I think maybe one or two songs are already out that people can check out. It's a band from our old stomping grounds, Boston. They're called Final Gasp, and the record is called Morning Moon. Mourning like sadness. I mean mourning. Um, and it's got heavy Sam Hain vibes. I think even for a while, I think they were like doing the thing where they go on stage and like pour fake blood all over themselves,
Oh
like
wow.
Sam Hain used to do.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's got a little bit of Killing Joke in there. Uh, and yeah, they're really great. And they're younger guys. They definitely came up after our time in Boston. And I think they have at least like an EP and maybe a single that came out prior to this. You can go check out. It's on Bandcamp and stuff. And I feel like at least one song is already out from the album, and I think it comes out in September. But yeah, Final Gasp, Morning Moon. I really dig this record. Yeah.
I haven't heard these guys, and the question I have is, since they hail from Boston, Mass, and we both used to live there, is there anyone that we might know personally involved with this band?
No, no, no. These are young bucks. They came up, after our time, well after our time, in Boston. Yeah,
Got it. Sounds like something I'd be really into. Yeah.
I think you will be.
So for me, have you heard Ruum, which is they have a record called Black Royal Spiritualism. Have you heard that?
Yes, yes.
And of course, that's blasphemer Rune Eriksson, and who used to play in Mayhem. And this record sounds like a guy that used to be in Mayhem making his own music.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unknown. I don't know if it's ever going to be a touring operation, but that's the record's pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I like that he's out there going freelance. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, so I have one. So there's a band. They're residing here in Los Angeles, but at least one of them is not from here. It's a band called Persecutor. I don't know if you've heard them.
Yeah, I saw something on Instagram about them. I don't know. They look. I don't know, they got the scary singer. They got like this kind of. I caught a couple of reels. Like Venom, Celtic Frost kind of vibe. Am I on point with that?
Yeah, yeah. That's the vibe. I think that's definitely it. And I think it's. I think the songs are catchy, and I think the band is like, I've seen them live a couple times, and they put on a great show, and it's fun. And I know that like fun can be kind of like a divisive thing in heavy metal for whatever reason. Some people don't like fun. They want guys standing there with the arms crossed in the band photo. But these guys, they don't do that. They're, I feel like they're taking themselves not very seriously, but they're taking their music seriously, but they're not taking themselves very seriously. And I like that.
Well, there's a band that I like quite a bit called the Dwarves, who I think have a similar approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I also feel like Persecutor is like a band that you can listen to and then rob a 7-Eleven like shortly after listening to them.
Yeah, totally. Oh, and I should mention the record is called Snow Business.
Yeah.
Snow Business, which, rolls right off the tongue there.
Yeah. That probably doesn't have anything to do with cocaine, I imagine, right?
I don't think so. No.
No, I don't think so.
No. All right. I'm going to go with another sort of like a fun pick, There's this band, they've been around for a while, from Sweden called Enforcer. I don't know if you're familiar with these guys.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they do like a classic heavy metal / speed metal thing. It can be very over the top, but they're highly skilled musicians. I think they write catchy songs. Their new record is called Nostalgia, and it came out, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, something like that. I tend to lose track of these things. But it's like super fun, like entertaining, like I don't know, it's just an enjoyable listen. So I'm that's putting on the list because, I think there's enough. I find that, as the world around us gets grimmer and grimmer, I want to listen to less music that's like that. I want to put on Van Halen. I want to put on Enforcer. I want to put on Persecutor. You know what I mean?
I dig. I'm only passingly familiar with them. It's
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I like I like stuff like that. I like thrash. I'm into having fun.
Yeah. 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 No, I know.
On the other end of the spectrum, I have. Have you heard the new Con 8 record?
I have, yes. In fact, I recently did an interview with James Plotkin about that record, and I hadn't spoken to him in like a decade or something, and so it was cool talking to him. And the record is great. I mean, it's a Con 8 record, 100%. It's like, it is exactly like you said, the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, the record's aptly titled "To Be Cruel."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, I got on board with these guys on their 2001, self-titled record, and yeah, I'm an admirer of most of Steve O'Malley's work as well as James Plotkin. So this fits right into this like slot for me.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was cool. And they did like a surprise release. Like they just came out of nowhere and just dropped it or whatever, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, my good friend Ralph Schmidt from the band Ultha, he told me about the record, and then I didn't listen to it right away, but I was out one night with our mutual friend Selden Hunt. You know Selden?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, of course, yeah.
yeah. We were out one night eating steaks in Park Slope, and then we
Nice.
stopped and got some drinks at this bar, and he was telling me about this record. And right around the time he told me about this record, I got a text message from somebody that hadn't. How am I going to put this? It's like someone that I, at the same time, really wanted to hear from, and then also at the same time, somebody that I dreaded hearing from. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah. I know some people like that.
Yeah. And I remember that was right around the time that we both, it was getting late, and we both parted, and I was driving back to New Jersey and having this text message exchange with this person, and I'm like, you know what? I think it's time to listen to the new Con 8 record.
The great nightcap. Yeah.
Yeah, so I listened to the whole thing, and I just got back home, and I continued listening to it, and I was like, yeah, this is like the perfect record for the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. um, all right, what am I going to say next? Hey, I don't know if you've heard it yet. I really like the new Immortal record. I know that I know that some people have like split into two camps. I realize that since Abbott has left Immortal, some people have gone with Abbott and some people have gone with Immortal. And I kind of like I'm not I don't know, I'm not picking sides. I gotta say the first Immortal record that happened without Abbott was not my bag. I thought it was okay. This one, it's called War Against All. I think it's great. There's some really great riffs. I think it's highly enjoyable. I'm backing it.
From what I heard so far, I do like it, and I have to be honest with you. Like, if it was like maybe 10 years ago or 12 years ago, I probably would be like not into it, for those like political reasons, But
Yeah,
at
yeah.
this stage, I probably only have about 5 or 6 years more of life left in me anyway. So why life's too short to not enjoy a new Immortal album.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, yeah.
Are you a big Immortal fan? Because I got to be honest, they're not a go-to band for me out of that wave of black metal. You know.
They are. I would say that they are like especially Sons of Northern Darkness
Yeah.
and At the Heart of Winter, Sons of Northern Darkness, and the one that came after Sons of Northern Darkness, which is like the last one that I'm then the title escaping me. I thought they were all like stellar albums. I love those records. And yeah, for me, that's like my favorite stuff. Because I actually like, cause I mean, Dark Throne's kind of my favorite from that era, but the Dark Throne stuff I like the best is like from 2006 forward, actually.
Yeah,
Like I
I
like
can
when they
see
kind
that.
of like stop. You know what I mean? Like when they stopped like taking themselves so seriously. They just made better music. Like I thought, you know. But that's me, you know.
Yeah, the Dark Throne records that have this kind of like heavy metal vibe to it, those are good records, man.
I love it, man. Like like it started with The Cult Is Alive, and that was kind of more in a punk vein, I guess.
Yeah.
But like as soon as I heard this record, I was like, oh fuck! Like I hope they do more of this because that was just record just hit me like that was just it's just where I was at the time, and it's just stuck with me. Like that record's almost 20 years old at this point, and I still love it like just as much as when it came out. I think it's awesome, and everything they've done since then has been great. Like I haven't disliked any of it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Immortal, like I remember getting into like that Norwegian black metal wave, and
Yeah,
I just checked out everything. And
yeah.
they initially weren't a band that I really was that into, but as time went by, I started having like a real appreciation for their music, and especially Sons of Northern Darkness. I think is their, that's like their epic like crowning record.
Yeah. Yeah. That record is and have you heard the I record?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's yeah. Oh man, that record smokes. It's so good.
yeah, yeah. I'm down with their new album, definitely.
Yeah.
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 Have you heard a band called Nightmare?
No, I don't think I know them.
Dude, they have a record that came out this year called Deformity Adrift. And
Mm.
man, we played with these guys at a fest outside of Detroit, like back in like maybe 2018 or 2019,
Yeah.
and totally blew me away. It was like one of these like housecore, like Phil Anselmo, Philip Anselmo and the Illegals played, and a bunch of bands that
Mm.
are on his label. And they're not on housecore, but they totally kicked my ass, and I've been following them ever since. And their new album is like next level, like really, really leaps and bounds past where they were a few years ago, and they were in a great place a few years ago. And yeah, it's like they remind me a little bit of that band Ulcerate from New
Oh
Zealand.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Totally. Yeah.
but with like more knuckleheaded though. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, okay. That
Yeah,
actually
they'll
sounds pretty good.
they'll have like these like really cool like not tech metal but more technically oriented song parts. Some time
Yeah.
changes and things like that. Then these like total thug like knucklehead parts.
Yeah. Wow, all right. Nightmare. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Nightmare, Deformity Adrift, excellent
And
record.
they're from the Detroit area, or they
No,
just happen to be playing. Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, they're from the Pacific Northwest, maybe the Portland
Oh.
area.
Okay. All right. So, all right. I'm gonna do. Okay. I really like. So there's a new Donova record out. Do you know this band, Donova?
No,
They're from Portland, also.
okay,
Um, so they have a new record out. It's called Nothing But Nothing. And it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's it's kind of proggy, but that's kind of that's like kind of a dirty word even for me. I tend to not but they do have a little bit of that, but it's kind of like 70s proggy, like classic metal mixed with like 70s classic rock. Um the singer has like really sort of like crazy voice. And I saw him play here. I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. They came through here with another proggy band that I really like called Halas, a Swedish band. Um, and I don't know. I've seen Donovan a bunch of times over the years, and I've always liked him. But this new record, Nothing But Nothing, is I don't know. It might be their best one. I think it's pretty great.
How do you spell that? Donova?
Yeah, Danava.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what would you what kind of comparisons would you make to this?
Oh man.
Like, I know you were like,
Well, okay. So
proggy. Like was what kind of band would this sound like?
I mean, okay, it's like sort of like there's a little bit of like 70s Rush
Okay.
with maybe like 70s Scorpions,
Like Yuli John
like
Ross
that.
style. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Uli John Ra. Um, I would say it's like somewhere in that zone, but with like imagine if that band came together and somehow had heard like some 80s metal a little bit, like the like up to like 85 or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like that there's some awareness of that in there, even though the whole thing kind of like on the surface seems sort of like maybe retro, you know?
Yeah, that's cool because that there's like that weird like kind of transitional period between like 79 and like 83,
Yeah,
where it's like
totally.
it went from like hard rock to heavy metal, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like that netherworld right there. That's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite eras of music.
Yeah, no, totally, man. And so this is kind of like that. Like if 70s Scorpions and 70s Rush had heard like Heaven and Hell, you know what I mean? Somehow, you know? Um yeah.
That sounds right on, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. And it's like I said, I've been a fan of theirs for a while. But this record seems like it's the one, you know, it's really good.
Now that record is, I mean, the vocals, are they like more melodic, like, like in that
Yeah,
style?
the guy has a pretty impressive range. He can kind of get up there in that sort of he seems like he could maybe get up there in that Halford-esque range, but he doesn't use it in quite the same way, if that makes sense.
It's funny. Like, I know you and I are huge Priest fans, but
Yeah.
Priest is one of those bands that definitely straddled both of those worlds. You know what I mean? Like that. Or I mean, they
Oh yeah.
started so fucking long ago, man, and they had like they very
Yeah.
much had that hard rock, like almost psychedelic sound at the beginning. Made that transition, and then became like, straight up definitive heavy metal band.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. No question.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, Black Sabbath gets so much of the credit as they deserve, but when you look at like what heavy metal became, it's like Judas Priest really is the connective thread there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, because I mean, even the Iommi Ozzy version of Sabbath versus the Iommi Dio version,
Oh yeah, it's like two different bands
two
almost.
different
Yeah,
bands, night and day.
yeah, yeah.
Um, well, this one is probably not going to come as any surprise to anybody, but I have Godflesh Purge on here.
I haven't listened to that yet either. Wow,
Dude.
man, what's wrong with me?
Dude, yeah, it's different yet the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah. No, I mean,
very very interesting because Post Self sounded more like
yeah,
a aggregate of Yesu and Godflesh, in my opinion.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Purge sounds more like old Godflesh. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's cool. Wow, I can't believe I haven't heard that yet either. Okay, I have some homework to do after this. It's good. It's good though.
Yeah, they're
Um,
playing. Yeah, they're on tour. I just got tickets for it. They're playing they're
oh,
playing Desert Fest, but I'm not going to that. I'm going to see them in Philly.
nice, nice. Um, all right, I think we're probably getting to the top here, and I don't want to mention. I have a feeling I know what your top record is going to be, and it's on my list as well. So I'm gonna not say it yet. So
You might not be
in,
right about that actually. Because
I might. Okay.
yeah, keep
All
going.
right. All
Keep
right.
going.
All right. But I'm going to mention in this spot though. I'm going to mention. Can I mention 2 7 inches?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Or singles rather. I guess one's not technically a 7 inch, or they're both not technically 7 inches, but they're singles. One is by a band called Fugitive, who you might be aware of, from Fort Worth, Texas, and it is one of the guitar players from Power Trip, and he has a new band called Fugitive, and their new single is called Blast Furnace, and there's a song on the other side called Standoff. And they put out an EP last year as well, and I think that was called Maniac. And to me, it's like, I think Power Trip fans will like it, but even what it has even more of than that, I would say, is like, it has like some obituary style to it. Like the vocalist has that John Tardy thing, and it's a little more, to me, it, even though it has the crossover stuff of Power Trip, it has a little bit more of a death metal atmosphere to it somehow. I really dig it. I really dig that. That's one. And the other one is another LA band here called Entranced. And they have a single called Rogue Warrior. And the song on the other side is La Fuerza Negra, which I believe translates to the Black Force. And this band is led by James Paul Luna, who was the singer of the band Holy Grail. I don't know if you remember them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, totally.
So this is his new band. He's got a killer guitar player, this guy, Philly Bibiano, who's a killer guitar player. He also is playing in Ex Mortis. Yeah, this is great. And so this is like that traditional heavy metal style with the sort of like soaring vocals that, James Luna can do. And, but they're also doing, they have a lot of songs also in Spanish, like the B-side of this single here. And they're calling themselves the Latino Wobum, like the Latin new wave of British heavy metal. Like they've kind of made their own term for what they're doing, which is kind of cool. But it's really good. It's like super catchy, like cool stuff. And so anyways, there's 2 7-inches, or singles anyway, digital singles maybe. I think the Entranced thing, you can get a tape. Rogue Warrior by Entranced and Blast Furnace by Fugitive.
Right on, man. I haven't heard Entranced.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I have Obituaries, Dying of Everything as one of my records, for sure.
It's quite good. Yeah.
I just, you know exactly what we're going to get from these guys, and this record is pretty much that. It's like, if you like Obituary, you're going to like their new album.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, no, I it's great. I think it's great. Yeah, totally. Yeah, good call. All right, I'm going to mention the record that I think might be your record, but
okay,
maybe it won't be your record.
Yeah.
And this currently, I think for me right now, this is the record of the year for me. I mean, obviously stuff could come out, but the Oxbow album, Love's Holiday. I just think I'm like blown away, man. Like, not only is it a great record, I think it is like somehow Oxbow's best record, and I don't know how they've done that after being around since 1987 or 88 or whatever, But it's like mind blowing good.
It's on my list. It's definitely written down here. I have one item that's a little bit above that one.
Okay.
No, but Oxbow, I want to talk about them a little bit. They're one of the most unique bands ever. Period.
Yeah.
Like combining so many different aspects of art into their music. You got the incredible lyric writing and vocals of Eugene S. Robinson associated with this band, and the band itself are like just incredible musicians too.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the live presentation of the music, and Oxbow is like probably one of the best live bands you'll ever see, perform, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then, the record's called Love's Holiday, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's called Love's Holiday, and it's fantastic. And I think I haven't seen them all. I've seen a couple, but apparently they did a video for every song,
that's
which
what
is
I heard.
crazy.
I've only seen a couple.
Yeah, and I've only seen a couple. Yeah, but yeah. So there you go. Oxbow, Love's Holiday, fantastic. Currently my favorite record of the year.
It's my understanding that Zev Deans produced one of their videos.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah,
crazy. I did not know that.
yeah. I have only seen 2 of these videos, and I haven't seen the one that Zev did just yet.
Yeah, I've only seen 2 as well, and I can't even recall which ones they are at this point. But
Yeah,
yeah, the record's fantastic.
yeah. Now, the record that right now has a very, very good chance of being my top record of 2023. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of things coming out later in the year that might usurp this record. But there's a band called Funerals that
Mm.
put out a record called Let the Earth Be Silent.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard this band?
No.
Dude. They formed in England, I think Brighton, UK.
Yeah.
They released some stuff on their own label, and then they relocated to Leipzig, Germany. Very
Okay.
very cheery town. I don't know if you've ever been to
Yeah.
Leipzig before.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice place, I guess. Um, and it's like once again Ralph Schmidt turned me onto this band like a couple of years ago, and it's like really dark, dreary, somber music. I mean, I guess you would characterize it as doom. You know what I mean, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
post rock or whatever you want to call it. But to me, I'm using those terms just to have a comparison, to have like some kind of basis to talk about this band. But they just go so much deeper than any kind of categorization. This music is like just standing at the edge of this like black abyss and like staring into just like no light at all, and having this black hole like absorbing all the photons of light in the universe and just creating this endless pit of darkness. That's what this band sounds like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
It's 2 people.
All right.
2 people. It's like female vocals, very powerful.
Okay.
Heavy guitars, and they have like another guy plays drums on, I think, on all the different records they put out. They have like an EP called Wounds, which is also very good.
Mm-hmm.
But the full length is like, it rates so high, and also, all the bands I listed are like incredible bands, and I still put this somewhere at the top.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Funerals, and what's the record called?
Let the Earth Be Silent.
Let the Earth Be Silent. All right, I'm gonna check that one out. That just moved to the top of the list for the things I got to check out. Because I feel like I love Godflesh. I know. I love Swans, but I kind of know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
This I don't know at all. So I'm kind of
Yeah, this
Yeah, that sounds great.
definitely something. And their other records are great too. They have like the EPs and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's great. That's killer, man. Yeah. Oh, you know what I want to do? I should mention, because you mentioned female vocals, and so I feel like I have to mention. I don't know if this is a band you're into. I have to mention the new Royal Thunder record, which I just think
okay.
is really excellent. And I know that that's not, it's not like super heavy or anything. But I don't know. I just think they make really great music. It's very soulful, I find. So the new record's called Rebuilding the Mountain. And yeah, I just like them.
Yeah, I like them. We actually, I feel like I think we might have played with them at one of those Relapse things.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
In LA, actually.
Yeah,
I
at the
think,
Roxy, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was at, you remember when me and you and our friend Mark
Yes.
We tried to
Yeah, yeah.
record a podcast, but we were saying too much scandalous stuff, and it never got released.
Right. I bet we were talking about the new at the time Van Halen record, right? Do I remember that
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
we kind of just like walked around LA with this recorder and talked about stuff.
Yeah.
But then like
Yeah.
when we listened back to it, we were saying so much like totally out of hand stuff on there that we realized that no one should ever hear what were discussed in this episode that we did.
Yeah, it was unfit for broadcast.
It was
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
unfit for broadcast.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah. No, Royal Thunder are cool, man. They, we used to be.
Yeah.
They were. Are they still on Relapse?
No, they're with Spine Farm now.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I got a couple of mentions of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like this is probably not going to make it on my list at the end by the end of the year, but right now it's like something that's like in the periphery of all these records, and that's the new Cattle Decapitation record, Terracite.
Okay. Okay.
You know? It's like hanging
Yeah.
on by threads right now, but when it came out, I was really into this record when it came out.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Never been a big
Right on.
fan, but this particular record I think was really good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
And forthcoming, there's two records that I've been looking forward to all year, and that's the new Marduk record and the new Werewolves record.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. That's cool. Yeah.
I imagine those two will probably rate pretty high on my list at the end
Yeah.
of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you familiar with
No.
Werewolves? Have you checked them out?
I don't think I am. I know Marduk, of course.
Yeah.
I don't. For some reason, the name sounds like familiar, but maybe just because they're called werewolves. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, they're this there's this whole group of Australian bands that are just incredible, and the thing that they all have in common is this guy Dave Haley plays drums for all of them. There's Werewolves, there's Psychroptic, which our guitar player
I know them.
Todd
Yeah.
Stern plays bass for them, and
Yeah.
Werewolves, and this other band called the Amenta, which are hard to describe, very very unique. They were like my record of the year a couple of years ago when their album came out. Very very incredible band.
Yeah, I know Psychroptic, of course, but I don't think I know the other two. So
Yeah.
I'll have to, that'll go on my list, man.
Werewolves is
Cool.
just like brutal death metal, but done in an incredible way though. I mean it's funny because their approach to songwriting is very punk rock, like they try to bang out records like over a weekend or something like that. But somehow all the songs are good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, some people just have that thing, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. I got a bunch of stuff still to come out. And I think that the last couple of years have been great for new albums, I think. Music's in a good spot, I feel.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. I've certainly been feeling more enthusiastic about some of the stuff this year than maybe in previous years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me happy, man. It makes me happy. Some stuff to enjoy before, the end of the world, which, is imminent, I'm sure.
Well, like I said, I think it's going to be like more of like a long, protracted demise,
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I
They'll
think
probably
you're right.
stretch on for generations,
Something to look forward to.
Well, Jay, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. And yeah, man.
Likewise, my friend.
I'll see you soon, man.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Good night.